There we are. Good morning, lovely people of the interwebs. There's nobody in here yet, so I'm going to take a quick moment. Still nobody in here. At least not that I see. So, like I said, I'm going to take a quick moment and share my live stream in a few places. Maybe. If I can figure out how to effectively do that. Was that one? No. Was that one? No. That's stupid. Okay, well. Stupid social media. I'm sure fleet. Alright, let me try that. There we go. Now we're cooking with gas. And one more. Try that. Try that. Try that. No. No. That's what we're getting. All right. So, what's happening, everybody? Pardon me. Robert Meisenberg, Paul Adamak, Park Kingery, Metal Base 79, Mitchell Tilley, Hadley Scott McIntyre, and that's all I see here anyway. Metal Base 79 says, Robert, your most important member is here. Well, actually, my channel is too small for YouTube memberships, so technically there are no members of this channel. I don't think I get to unlock that until I cross the 100,000 subscriber threshold, which I don't anticipate happening for a long time, if ever. Just based on, well, let's see, I've been at it for 5 years now, and I'm at 22,000 subscribers. So, I don't think I suppose I can't, keep at it. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? I try not to speculate about where I expect my channel to be from, at specific points in time. We all want our channels to be bigger, I think, but oh well. Sean Weiss, Cubs fan wants, hi Robert, what's your favorite Scorpions album? I love the guitar tone on Blackout. Cheers from Chicago. Scorpions album, I would probably have to go with Love at First Sting. So that one's my favorite. Uh, Great record. All my favorite, not all my favorite, but a lot of my favorite Scorpion songs are on that one. So, Robert Mesenberger says, what are your thoughts on the Mesa Boogie Mark 535? Great amp. Excellent amp, actually, you know. If you don't want to drop the coin on, on the full size Mark 5, the big 90 watt head, or even more money on like one of the John Petrucci signature version, or one of the crazy, not crazy, but one of the really expensive ones. Uh, Mark 535 is great, man. It's a great amp. It's got all the meat and potatoes of the big one, and tone wise can cover just about all of the bases. And it's a pretty loud 35 watts too. So I know plenty of people that play plenty of gigs all over the place with a Mark 535. Matter of fact, my friend John Suki, as a matter of fact, who plays in he plays guitar for country artist Chase Rice, and he's toured all over the world with Chase Rice, and he I think he is still using a Mark 535 for his live rig. So yeah, great amps, great amps. The Mark series are probably my favorite Mesa Boogies out there. So I like those better than the rectifiers. Although that new Badlands rectifier is pretty sweet. So Metal Base 79 says you should be at least as popular as Ola England. This is one of my top 5 favorite YouTube channels. I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. I don't anticipate being anywhere near as popular as Ola. Ola is, there's channels out there with more subscribers than him, but he may be the most popular. And I say that because he's also we know him for his YouTube thing, but he's also plays in a couple of very successful metal bands, and he owns his own guitar company, and he's grown significantly. Now he's got his own office space where he shoots all of his videos and does all of his business stuff. So yeah, no, I don't know that I'll ever gain quite as much success as Ola, but and he's a really really likable guy. I like Ola England a lot. I like Ola quite a bit. Let's see. Rondo Bondo, my knees hurt. Have both popped in to join the party. Is this a party? Or is it more of a get together? A gathering. Like a virtual gathering. Not that it matters. So, everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. And, followed by, everybody have a day of giving thanks, followed by a day of trampling your fellow man to get the best deals on Black Friday that you possibly can before they expire. I personally took advantage of a couple of Black Friday deals. There was one retail outlet that has something that was on my wife's birthday / Christmas list. So I did take advantage of that, and then I also took advantage of Black Friday deal with Magic's software to upgrade my video editor to Vegas Pro 18, which I've been putting off for a while, and I spent hours installing it last night. I still don't know if I got it working right, but hopefully that doesn't turn out to be a huge mistake. Metal Base 79 says, "Will you ever do a SanSam video? I've been using one on my bass for over 20 years, but thinking about getting a Fly Rig 5 for guitar for recording." I don't know. I mean, I don't really demo a whole lot of bass gear just because I don't obsess over bass gear like I do guitar gear. And I mean, I've got two basses. Usually for recording, I almost always plug in and go direct, and I use virtual amps and and plugins and everything on it. And that's about it. I've got a bass combo back in my music room that's honestly that thing hasn't been. I don't even know when the last time I turned that thing on was. It's been a while since it's been used. And I could maybe see myself acquiring a jazz bass at some point. And there's a Yamaha TRBX 504 that I really like. And maybe a 5-string on my own, because the 5-string I have right now is on loan from a friend of mine. But so I could see myself acquiring that stuff, and once I get that, I don't know that I'd ever buy another piece of bass gear again. So, to answer your question, will I ever do a SanSam video? I don't know. And honestly, with the exception of you and just a couple of other people, I mean, the vast majority of my viewers are guitar players. So, the vast majority. Rondo Bondo says, "I ate a turkey." As in, like, the whole turkey? I have a couple of little... I'm not a real huge fan of turkey anyway, so, I have a couple of pieces of turkey, and, I do the taters and a few other things, and get over and done with. I hate Thanksgiving, actually. Can't stand it. I'm glad every year when it's over. Oh, boy. Hadley Scott McIntyre says, "No Black Friday in the boonies." Oh, but there was all over the place on the interwebs, though. Matter of fact, I think, my understanding is this is a record-breaking year for retailers on the interwebs for Black Friday, because nobody was, so many people are still stuck at home and didn't want to leave. Old Bay 79 says, "I smoked a turkey and ribs. Thanksgiving was awesome. I probably gained 5 pounds. Yeah, that's what Thanksgiving's all about." Oh, yeah. Oh, almost forgot. Got distracted. I was chit-chatting when this came in. Robert Bryant hitting the first one to hit the super chat this morning. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. Very, very much. Thank you. It says, "Let's feed this broke guitar player." Well, let's face it. I don't need any help. I don't need any help getting fed. But this time of year is expensive. Buying gifts and stuff for everybody. So, hey, X Gear's here. X Gear Analog Guitar Pedals, my favorite new guitar company, or new guitar pedal company, that is. What's up, guys? I'm assuming that's probably Paul Killian. If that is Paul, monster guitar player. And those pedals are awesome. As a matter of fact, I used the Crush Overdrive in another video here just in the last week or so. I think last couple of weeks. Did that one go up? I can't remember if that one's already gone up yet or not. Maybe it did. I don't remember. But yeah, that's rapidly becoming one of my new favorite overdrive pedals. So, yep, that is Paul. That is Paul. You doing anything? You doing any? I know you stream live on Facebook fairly often, but really often actually. I don't know if you're doing anything on YouTube or not, but wherever wherever you mark it, post a link there in the chat for everybody, so everybody knows where to go. Check out X Gear guitar pedals, because I'm really impressed with them. So. Jeff Seven says, cook from Monday till Wednesday, 4 turkeys. Wow. 22-pound ham and all the accessories. My church fed 130 people and I slept for 17 hours. Wow. Good for you. Good for you. That's a lot of people that got fed. Pardon me. X-Gear says, I streamed 3 once, so I'm assuming Facebook, YouTube, and I'm going to assume Twitter. I don't know. I'm going to assume. Allie Scott McIntyre says, I got this guitar on the back. It says Waves. Needs opening and jack soldered back to the PCB. Won't work. I'm not sure. I don't know what it is that you're referring to. Sounds like you got a guitar that needs to be rewired, though. Lip Tech 1 is here. Cool Guitar Gear is here. What's up, dude? Another good dude. If you guys haven't gone to see Cool Guitar Gear's channel, I recommend you go do that, because he demos a lot of cool stuff, and his demo is actually also really good. Probably better and more informative than mine, to be honest. I'm trying to get better at shortening my videos and condensing them down to the meat and potatoes, and not talk too much at the end of at the end of a demo. So it's the analytics show that you guys don't care about anything else that I have to say about it once you hear what it sounds like. So I am trying to fix that, or at least improve at that. But let's face it, I talk a lot sometimes, and sometimes I just can't help myself. So, King of YouTube says, how come you don't have a Vigier? Because them things are expensive, dude. Those guitars are not cheap. I'd love to have a Vigier. But Vigier, they're a French company, so I assume that's how it's pronounced. But at least that's how I've always pronounced it. No, they make great guitars, but I've never, they make great guitars, but nowadays, I mean, those things start at like $3,500 or something, US. So, Moonchild says, do you have any experience with alternate materials for necks like aluminum or carbon fiber? A little bit. I've played several actually of the Kramer aluminum neck series guitars that they had out back in the 80s, and all the ones that I play, they're really heavy, and I mean really heavy. and they weren't my thing. You know, weren't my thing at all. The as far as like carbon fiber. On the other hand, who was it that made a carbon fiber neck? Was it Parker? I think it may have been Parker Guitars that made a carbon fiber neck that I played one time, and that was pretty cool. Tone wise, I didn't really for that particular guitar. I remember I cannot recall for the life of me which what kind of guitar it was. At maybe one day it'll come to me because it's been a long time, but. I remember the guitar itself had, a pretty high output set of Duncan pickups in it. And, so the carbon fiber, didn't do a whole lot to alter the tone any, but it did feel really, really nice. And there was no truss rod in it to worry about because carbon fiber doesn't bend. So, guitars traditionally being made out of wood, guitar necks traditionally being made out of wood. There's too many people out there that would riot if their favorite guitar company started making carbon fiber necks and stuff. Fender would shoot themselves in the foot if they started making carbon fiber necks on even just a few of their guitars, I think. So, let's see. Hadley Scott McIntyre says it's like a practice headphone amp similar to a Sans amp. Oh, I see. Okay. Hail Mary Recordings says, is that a Charvel Skatecaster I see in your opening? Which opening? I don't know which video. I do have a Charvel Skatecaster that I use pretty often. And, it's the SK1. Which was a Desolation series that was out. I don't know when those came out. 8 years ago, something like that. And for whatever reason, I'm surprised that they didn't last long because they seem to be a real big hit with a lot of people because you got a lot of guitar for the money. I mean, the model that I have was only like $649. Brand new. That was the top model of the line, and it was neck through construction, legitimate active EMG pickups, and plays and sounds killer. I like that guitar a lot. But I'm wondering if they didn't just give up too much, or put too much into them that that Charvel didn't make any money. So yeah. So I'm not sure which opening you're referring to, but if you're talking about my my bluish green, like my turquoise Charvel, then yeah, that is a Skatecaster SK1 Desolation series. King of YouTube says, I bet they'd send you one, probably referring to referring to VGA guitars. I don't know, man. I don't know. I've actually never reached out to them. So they may not. Pedal companies are a lot more likely to send me stuff to demo than guitar companies. Most guitar companies. Unless it's one of the newer Chinese companies like the EART guitar that I demoed here a month or two ago. Unless it's one of those, a brand new company like that that's trying to get its name out there. The bigger, more custom, higher end guitar companies generally don't. I rarely even get a response back from any of those companies. So. Here we go. X Gear says Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I forgot about it. I've never once gotten on Twitch, so I know nothing about it. But, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch people can sign up on the website. We're doing a bag and board combo giveaway. Also, we have a sale now on Amazon for Cyber Monday for Amazon Prime members. Thank you very much for that tip. I know what I'm doing on Monday. Absolutely, that's what I'm doing on Monday. I'll tell you what. That's. Oops. Got to pin the Teespring shop. I am going to I don't think there's anybody else on Amazon that sells your pedals. I think it's just you guys. So, and if I'm not mistaken, X Gear Official. Trying to post a link to your store, Paul, your Amazon store. And so far, Amazon's not wanting to cooperate with me. I'll tell you what I will do instead. When this live stream's over, I'll find the link to the store itself, and then I'll post it on my status on Facebook and on YouTube, so people see it. More people see it than will hear. And everybody go check out the X Gear Amazon shop on YouTube on Monday. Now I'm excited to see what deals you guys have. Like I said, I really like those pedals. I only have 2 of them so far, but I want more. Moonchild said, could attest to the weight, referring to the Kramer aluminum neck guitar. Says, I own a Duke that's basically a boat paddle and weighs like 11 pounds. Yep. The bases, those aluminum, the Duke bases, or any of those aluminum neck bases, those things were easily 15. I mean, easily. That is a lot of. They're heavy. You got to eat your Wheaties before you go lug one of those around on stage for a couple hours. Lip Modulus. Well, they're a bass company though. But yes, they do make carbon fiber graphite necks. Is it graphite or carbon fiber? I think it's graphite actually, but no, to be carbon. I don't know. But yes, Modulus, they make basses, but there was a guitar that actually did that. I don't think Modulus makes. I don't think they've ever made any guitars. King of YouTube says VGA makes carbon fiber necks, 9010. So that I did not know. Have they always done that? I thought they were mostly made wooden necks like most other companies. Paul Adamek says, love your demo of the looper pedal, found it on Amazon for $93. You're welcome, sir. I'm assuming you're talking about the Donner Circle Looper. Yeah, it was, that was, they sent that to me, and, I actually can't believe that I agreed to it, but Because I hate demoing looper pedals. After I did the demo on the, it was actually it ended up having to be 2 demos on the Singular Sound Aeros Loop Studio. Trying to capture that thing in a video, and I even then I still don't think I did a very good job, and but trying to capture that, because the thing with the looper sound is not about tone, it's about functionality. So trying to capture that on a video is actually, I found to be very, very difficult. And and I swore after that I would never demo another looper pedal ever again. Donna reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to demo the circle looper, and I was like, yeah, all right, sure. I checked it out real quick, and I was like, all right, why not? Doesn't look like it's gonna be that complicated. So, so I as soon as so when I got it, I intentionally tried to keep that thing as simple as humanly possible, and just not overthinking, make it short and sweet, and this is what it is, this is what it does, and hopefully you like it. So, and that one I think seems to have done its job, because they seem to have made a few bucks on it. So, they sold a few, more than, not more than a few, but they've sold a few of those for my video. So, Cool Guitar Gear says, what gear reviews do you have coming up? Oh, what do I have? Let's see, tomorrow's more of a blog video, so there's not, there's no gear, no demos there. Then I've got there is one on the Hagerman Distort, that'll be later this week. I just finished the TL Pedals Honker Overdrive. That'll be up in a couple of weeks. And on my plate, I still have to do. I've got a Blues Driver Overdrive shootout planned. I've got a Bogner pedal, older Bogner pedal, but one that I just got a hold of that I really want to demo. The Boss Angry Driver and a Joyo Bantamp, all sitting here that I still need to get done. So. I should hopefully have all those done here by the end of right now. The way I've been doing it lately is I've just been, one video, because I do 2 videos a week. So one of them has been a gear demo, and the other one has been, something else, opinion, and, like worst Christmas gift for guitar players video, and the reason why is because pardon me. The reason why is because, if, gear demos, my gear demos have evolved, and I used to be able to, if I used to be able to crank out 3 or 4 of them, just me with a camera, twisting knobs and strumming riffs and stuff. But, now that I've kind of changed the format of how I do my gear demos, and, included full length, not full length, but, full track demos, and stuff like that. Even with with a really short track, I can probably do it. But if I'm doing a demo that's got a full length track in it, like the last demo that I did for for the folks at X Gear, that one I really wanted. I like that pedal well enough, and I really wanted to do to write a full track for that particular video. But when it gets to that point, though, then that's a lot more work that goes into them, and it really starts to eat up a lot of time to get everything all done in the same week, right? So here lately, I've been doing one video and one demo video and one something else. It's not necessarily full of space, but some people don't really care much about, a lot of people actually don't really care much about my demos, and they want to see me clowning on gear that I hate, stuff like that. So, and I kind of like the controversial stuff, some of it anyway. I like to do that stuff a lot myself. Uh, just to see what kind of eyebrows get raised. So, long answer to your question, that could have been a much shorter answer, is I got about four. I got about four, I don't know, 4 or 5 pieces of gear laying around that I'm going to that I'm going to demo, plus a few other things that I've got planned that I don't know that I'm going to be able to get to them by the end of the year, but I'm going to try. I'd like to. I want to do a course pedal shootout, because I've got a bunch of course pedals around here, so I thought, maybe why not put them all to use at the same time. So I want to do a course pedal shootout. I want to do, I want to do a demo of the TC Electronic, the Mojo Mojo Overdrive that I demoed years ago, and I want to kind of update that one because I've always liked that pedal. Man, so. Yeah, I've got some stuff planned. Just a matter of getting to it all. That's going to take some time. And this particular time of year is particularly hard because we got Thanksgiving, and we got my birthday right after it, and we got my wife's birthday right after that, and then we got Christmas right after that, and and all the preparation and shopping and all that kind of stuff that goes into getting ready for all of those things. Then follow that by New Year's, and even New Year's, and actually my mother's birthday is right behind that. So it's amazing I'm able to crank out 2 videos a week this time of year at all. Robert Bryant says, just got a new Epiphone Honeyburst Les Paul Classic. Really love it and can't stop looking at it. It's really beautiful, and although not a Gibson, I'm very happy with the quality. I had a Honeyburst Les Paul, Epiphone Les Paul Standard for a long time, and that was a great guitar. That was a great guitar. I didn't, the pickups in it I probably should have changed. But I didn't, and I let and they worked fine, for what I was doing, which was playing in a hard rock cover band at the time. So, but I like that guitar. I like that guitar quite a bit. As a matter of fact, I'd probably still have it. The only reason that I sold it was to that was one of the things, the guitars that I had to sacrifice in order to pay for my honeymoon. Once upon a time. Yeah, no, man, especially nowadays, the current era, I think Epiphone's quality is really, really good right now. Best out there? No, but there's a few things that I do wish they would change. Their electronics, the pickups and stuff that they're putting in the Epiphones nowadays have gotten a lot better from what they were 10 years ago, but I still wish they would just bite the bullet and start putting USA, be it Gibson or somebody else's USA pickups in any of their guitars over $600, $700 or something. But they won't do that. Liptech 1 says, which of your amps do you prefer to play with? Which of your amps do you prefer to play with joy? Well, I mean, I like all of my amps. To be honest, they're if you're asking me which one of my amps I like the best, tone wise, probably my Marshall, my JCM 900. I don't, that one, I honestly don't play that one as often as I used to. Honestly, I don't record much back in that room as often as I used to, because once I got this Laney IRT Studio, I mean, I bought it I bought this amp specifically to fill a recording niche, and just for not something that I would ever use. It was not something that I was intending to use. I was intending to use it, but I wasn't intending to use it as often as I turned out. As I turned out to be using it, and because this thing's got so many awesome recording features on it. I mean, number one, it sounds awesome. I love the way it sounds. Um, it's got a built-in load box, so I don't even need to mess with a cab. I can just mount it up right here in the rack, run it straight direct into my interface, and play all day long, and not worry about anything overheating or blowing up on me. So among a lot of other features, and so it's ended up getting a lot more use than I ever thought it would. And because of that, I kind of feel bad that I haven't been, that I haven't been playing my Marshalls, my Randalls, or even a couple of my Panama heads that I haven't used in a while. Those are a couple of those I really like. Like I really like the Shaman 20 that I have, and I really like the 5 watt. They've got the model that they have called the 5 watt, or had. I guess they're not in business anymore, but that one probably surprised me the most, and I liked it, and especially how well I liked it. That's a great amp. The Panama, I've got a Panama Fuego. I've got a Fuego X and a Fuego Hot Rod, and they're okay. They get a little fizzy. So they're the high end is pretty easy to can get away from you in a hurry on those amps. But I don't know. I haven't sat down and played through either of those in a while now. Kind of got a little bent on them because of when my the Panama 212 cab that I have just up, and the baffle just up and split in like 3 places one day, and that cabinet has never left that room ever since since it showed up here. It took it out of the box and went in that room and had got amps plugged into it, and it's never left. And all of a sudden, baffles just started cracking on them, and I am by far not the only person that's had that problem with those. So that's a very, very common problem, and honestly, it's probably the thing that forced them out of business. So, one of them anyway. Hail Mary Recording says, I want a green Surfcaster. We'll pay top dollar. I'll keep my eyes peeled for one, but mine's not for sale. King of YouTube says, Rainsong. Rainsongs are all carbon fiber and great, and I love Rainsong acoustics, by the way. But what the thing that I can't recall what the hell brand it was that had a carbon fiber neck on it. It was an electric. With Rainsong, when I think of carbon fiber guitars, Rainsong's always the first brand that pops into my mind. But this particular one was an electric that I can't figure out. But you're right, Rainsongs do play absolutely. Those are fantastic guitars. I love Rainsongs. Rondo Bondo says, I didn't go anywhere on Black Friday. I didn't eat. Well, I had to work, so I worked from home, so I was home all day anyway. And then once I got done working, I went out and grabbed food for me and the missus, and we had our weekly Friday evening dinner and TV date. But that was the only place I went. Liptech1 says, does Paul's company have a website? I know you guys do. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, there it is. I don't know if you guys sell direct on your website or not. But hey, you guys got, I didn't know Greg Howe was using some of your stuff as well. I love Greg Howe. He's one of the best guitar players on the planet and uses, gear that mere mortals, like all the time. He uses gear that us mere mortals can actually get our hands on. All right, I'm posting a link to X Gear's website there in the chat. So if you guys want to go check out their website, I certainly encourage you to do so. Let's see. King YouTube says Tyson or Jones tonight. I don't know what you're referring to, so I'm going to go Tyson. Assuming you're talking Mike Tyson. Hadley Scott McIntyre says Tyson fall back and the memory and spirit. You ain't going to win unless a lucky shot. Is Tyson actually fighting tonight? Wow. I didn't know that. God, man, the last Tyson fight I saw was when he pummeled Bruce Seldon in literally like 8 seconds or something crazy. I mean, it was over that quick. I'll tell you what. Give me a minute to get caught up in the chat here, guys. You guys are chatting much faster than I'm talking, so. Zim's Guitars is here. Anthony Finch is here. A couple of new names I haven't seen yet. Although Zim's Guitars' first message was retracted. I don't know what he said. Anthony Finch says, "Did you score any cool Black Friday deals?" The only thing that I got for myself, and I wasn't looking. I don't need anything. I really don't need anything, and this is I've acquired so much damn gear this year. There's really, there's things that I want, but there's nothing that I need. So for the most part, the only thing that I did get that actually I guess I did need was I upgraded my video editing software to Vegas Pro 18, which I've been putting off for a while. So I got Vegas Pro 18. They had a good deal with on a bundle with some plugins and stuff, and it's honestly been a pain in the ass getting it working, but I'm closer now than I was. So. Liptech says I just got a Dean Michael Schenker Retro V and it's awesome. Those are cool, man. The white, the half white and half black Michael Schenker V's. Yeah, I always like those guitars. Yeah, Zim's Guitars is back. It says, "Hey guys, Charles 75N is here." Thunder Falcon is here. William DeSilva is here. William DeSilva says, "Just received my Balaguer Archetype." You have any Balaguer guitars? I do not. I don't own any Balaguer guitars. I think they've got like I think it was them anyway. They've got like this custom build option that you can do on their website, and I think I had just for for kicks, I'll get on guitar players' or guitar companies' websites, if they offer that service, and and like build my own guitar just to see what it would cost. You know, and I remember, I think I saw that there's, you know, you could get like a custom built guitar for them. You know, for me, and on those I always like load them up, you know, fully loaded every single option that I could possibly think of that I would want. You know, just to see what it would cost. You know, give me like worst case scenario. And I want to say that was like, you know, the Balaguer would have built me what I wanted exactly for like $1,500 or something, which isn't bad. But no, I do not own any Balaguer guitars. Let's see. Jack Rosas is here. Happy Thanksgiving to you, sir. William Silva says, have you played any pedals from Wilson Effects? I picked up a Dual Lotus. It's two Dumble style circuits stacked or cascading. Both. I love it. I have not. That's you know the that's the man. There's so many new pedal companies to keep up with too. Um, you know, honestly, it's you know I just can't keep up with them. You know, there's I've demoed a couple of them from companies here recently, from you know companies I never heard of, and probably never would have heard of, you know, if it wasn't for Brian at you know, at Cool Guitar Gear, you know, at Cool Guitar Gear demos. You know, because like they're just, you know, it's a pretty easy business to get into. You know, overhead's fairly low, and you know, and you have to, you know, as Park Kingery I'm sure can attest, you have to actually enjoy building pedals. But you know, once if you can get in there and you get a few of them out there to people that, you know, people really like them and they take off, you can actually see some success. Hence, you know, some smaller companies like High Wind Amplification, you know, the Direwolf, you know, that Direwolf overdrive is getting real popular. Tony's Peppers pedals, you know, same with some of their stuff. Transmutation devices, you know, companies like that. I mean, companies are literally, you know, their pedals being built in, you know, in those dudes, you know, those dudes' garages. So, but you know, anyway, to answer your question, no, I have not tried any Wilson effects. So, but it's good to know that they are out there. Maybe I'll see if I can't figure out who they are and get in touch with them, see if they want me to demo something for them. Hadley Scott McIntyre says, I like my amps if they would work right. All my pro gear got ripped off. That sucks, dude. I'm sorry to hear that. And I hate about people getting their gear ripped off, man. It infuriates me. Cool Guitar Gear says, curious to know and maybe an idea for a video, your favorite drive, distortion, chorus, delay, reverb, phaser, flanger, fuzz. Nope, no fuzz video. No fuzz be mentioned in that video. Let us know now, but maybe a demo sound bite of each and all in. Yeah, that might not be a bad video. Probably be a good idea for a video, actually. As far as, oh boy, let's see. Favorite overdrive. That changes pretty often. Right now, I'm going to say Blues Driver. That's my most recent favorite. Blues Driver. I don't know, man. God, it's honestly, you know, the ones I've played recently. You know, honestly, it would be probably a dead heat tie between the Blues Driver and the X Gear, Crush Overdrive. You know, one of those two. You know, now that I think about it, I probably lean more towards the Crush. So, you know, if you ask me that question again in an hour, I may give you another answer. Favorite distortion, Amp Tweaker Type Metal Pro. Favorite chorus, Digitech Lux. Favorite delay, Boss DD200. Prior to that, it was the DD7. Though I'm sure it would probably be the DD8. Though I haven't played one yet, but the DD8 is just the updated version of the DD7. Favorite reverb, ooh, I don't really use reverb pedals very often, to tell you the truth. You know, if I had to pick a favorite reverb, it would probably be the Digitech Polera. or maybe the MXR M300. Favorite phaser, MXR Phase 95. Favorite flanger. Ooh. I have to get back to you on that one. I have to get back to you. Part of me's leaning. I don't know. Electric Mistress is cool, but it's not. I mean, it's a phaser, it's a flanger, but it's more than that. Boss BF2, BF3. Actually, the TC Electronic Thunderstorm is pretty good. I don't own a lot of flanger pedals, which I don't know why, because I like that effect. But anyway, yeah, so that would be my rundown off the top of my head right now. Those are the ones that, some of those, if I were to start shooting a video on that subject right now, some of those absolutely would be the ones that made it in. But some of those I'm going to have to get back to you on. So, Nolgulern says, I have an HSS Mexican Strat with the original pickups. What humbucker do you recommend? I play all kinds of music. For that, I would say, especially if you play all kinds of music, I would go with either Duncan JB or the Seymour. Actually, believe it or not, the Seymour Duncan Pearly Gates is a really, really good humbucker for a Strat. So that's probably the direction I would go. Christopher Bass is here. Says, I think I have to get an HM2 when it comes out. Yep. Yeah, that's true. If you have not yet heard, the bosses, well, they've got a new Wazacraft pedal coming out that they have not quite, they have not released what it's going to be, but, they've been teasing with, some obscure, fuzzy, blurry photos and stuff on the interwebs for the last week or two. There's been enough, kind of enough clues given that I think we could pretty much deduct that it's going to be a fuzz. Their next Waza pedal is going to, I think it's going to be an FZ2W, which would be the model number for Wazacraft. But there's the interwebs were also hoping that it was going to be an HM2, and turned out that the new Wazacraft pedal is not going to be an HM2, but Yoshi did own up in an interview recently that they do have an HM2 reissue of some kind. He didn't necessarily say Wazacraft, but he did say they have an HM2 reissue of some kind currently in the works. So there is going to be a new version of the HM2, which means even though I don't particularly care for that pedal, sounds like I need to grab a real one, a vintage one now, because they're going to skyrocket. The prices on those things are going to skyrocket when the new ones come out. Christopher Bass says, yeah, the infamous heavy metal pedal from 92. Actually, the HM2 was from the early 80s. The HM3 replaced it in the late 80s. And HM3 is still kind of popular too, but the HM2 was the early. That's the one that was on the famous Entombed Swedish death metal record. That honestly, I think that tone sounds like complete dog shit, but that's who knows? It got popular. Liptech once says, even though I'm a bass player, the guitar amps I have would piss most of you off. That's funny. Sounds like you got some high-end stuff. Paul Ewing is here. Welcome, sir. It says, order the new Friedman small box overdrive. I didn't know they had a new overdrive pedal coming out. Christopher Bass says, I bought a preamp because I was drunk and my Personas My Persona's pre V2 kept clipping. Let's see. Let me get caught up here. I am way behind you guys. So if I happened, I'm gonna scroll pretty fast here. If you ask me a question I didn't get to it, just drop it there in the chat again, and I'll read it when I get closer to the bottom. X Gear says Greg Howe is awesome, guitar legend. That I agree with. That dude is awesome. One time, if you guys remember Laguna Guitars, it was a Guitar Center exclusive guitar brand. They were, for the most part, they were cheap guitars, but he actually had a signature model of those. His was, and his was, they made one high-end guitar that was about $1,000, and it was his. And it was a killer guitar. I always wanted one. I never bought one. Christopher Bass says, anyone have an opinion on the DV Mark amps that are on sale? I didn't know DV Mark amps were on sale. But DV Mark amps are pretty killer. There's a couple of those that are that I've had on my wish list, but I've told myself I'm not buying any more gear this year. Liptech says you got a 50-watt Stereotone, 1987X, 68 Plexi clone, Randall BMF Plexi 100-watt. PV Classic Tweed 50, Lab Series L7, Metropolis SLP 100-watt Plexi with a full stack of cabs. Nice stuff, man. Yeah. Well, you guys are confirming Tyson is fighting tonight. I didn't know that. If it's not on pay-per-view, if they're giving it away for free, I may have to actually watch that. Tyson's best quote. Everybody, this is X-Gear says, Tyson's best quote. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. That's true. If there's one guy on this planet that I would not want to get punched in the face by, it's him. My God, that dude's got a fist like a freaking wrecking ball. Barry Miller says, plug in that effing JCM 900 on 10 and hit a G chord. Oh, I've never had that thing on 10. I don't know that I've ever had it on 5, to be honest. That thing is real loud. I mean, real loud. Certainly, I mean, I don't need it to be that. As a matter of fact, I keep it on half power, and when I'm using it here in the house. So, and even then, that's real loud. So, but I have cranked it up, not to 10, but I have cranked it up a time or two when I've taken it out to play gigs with it. Let's see. Paul Ewing says the Flemma FS06 preamp at $86 has 7 high-end modeled amps and a regular size pedal. Great for a guy wanting to see if they like modeling cheap. Interesting. Flemma. Oh yeah, that's a new one of those companies that are selling stuff on Amazon. They've got I think it was a delay pedal or something like that I thought looked pretty cool. Maybe somebody else will buy that for me for Christmas. Liptech says I need to sell a white Agile double neck that I just do not get around to playing. Agile guitars are nice, man. I like those Agiles. That's one of the best Les Paul copies out there. Park Kingery says he just finished a Timmy 3 clone. Timmy's a cool overdrive. Robert Bryant says, "Why do people knock Boss pedals? I have 3 and think they're well made, and I've never had an issue. I think they're made better than any other pedal on the planet, and that's one thing that they're known for. Man, they're built like tanks. I mean, you really got to work, to break a Boss pedal. So, not to mention the fact they've been around for 5 decades now, or more, even or probably even more than that if you go all the way back to the beginning of the Roland brand. And they sound great. I counted them up the other day. I think I've got like 34 or something Boss pedals, and that includes a couple, like 3 or 4 foot switches that I have, but but beyond that, I've got 30, well over 30 Boss pedals, and I know the last one I bought is not going to be the last one I bought. So, no, I think they're, I love Boss pedals. I'm a big, big fan of Boss pedals. Oops. Give me just a moment. I need to text the missus. Let's see. Where are they? Christopher Bass says, as far as I know, the buffer is not the best quality. I don't know about that, man. I mean, it's, they're, our the buffer and Boss pedals, and again, it depends on the pedal, I think, particularly the high. I don't think that's the case at all with the higher end ones. But typically the buffer in most Boss pedals is are they the greatest buffers in the world? No, but they're not bad. They're absolutely functional. There's nothing wrong with them. They work just fine. And they do what they're supposed to do. So. Charles 75N says, "What is your go-to pedal?" Oh man, Amp Tweaker Type Metal Pro. And the only thing with that pedal is I have had a hell of a time getting a good sound, getting a good recording out of it. And I'm quite sure that's probably that's the user more than the. That's my fault more than just the pedals, but I've recorded with it a few times, and and every single time I recorded with it, it hasn't come out sounding quite like I would like it to. But plugged into a live rig, man, that thing will turn any amp into a metal amp in a big hurry. Thurston says, "I've been really digging the Dude Overdrive. That's a good pedal. Absolutely love it. Got a killer deal as it was B-stock." Christopher Bass says, "Radial engineering would have us believe the buffer is equitable to a preamp circuit and its importance." Buffers are important, and a pedal signal chain. If you got a pedal board with 20 pedals on, you got to have some buffers in there somewhere. Just like you got to have some true bypass in there somewhere. Hadley Scott McIntyre says, "Have you heard the end of? I think it's Me Wise Magic. I'm assuming you're talking about the Van Halen song. Kind of sounds like old Lunatic Fringe or kind of Radar Love. Yeah, it's been a while since I've heard that song, but yeah, I mean Eddie Van Halen. If you're talking about a flanger, if you're talking about a flanger pedal, Eddie used a flanger fairly often. I mean that was one of his favorite effects too. So." Alrighty. And my missus telling me she's working a little bit later than expected, which means it's going to be me and Zoe on the couch. And I started playing Spider-Man for PS4 here last week and really gotten into it. I mean, it's a direct rip-off of the Batman Arkham series games, but I love the Batman Arkham series games, and this is kind of basically this, very, very similar, but with Spider-Man, who I also love. Let's see, Epic Esquire is here. Mike St. Croix. Welcome to both of you. Thurston says, slow gear reissue. I can't believe Boss has not reissued the slow gear. If they ever get around to reissuing the slow gear, to Wazacraft or otherwise, man, they are going to make an absolute killing on that pedal. For as much as those things sell for on the vintage market, it's insane. Thurston says local pawn store has an HM2, thinking of getting just for experimenting. If you've never played one, it doesn't sound anything like you think it does. Christopher Bass says, how come people that make pedals tell us that reissues are identical and it's the tolerances of the components that are the difference in sound? And no one will believe them. Well, I don't know who, I don't know which, which manufacturers might be saying that, but there is some truth to that. But realistically, like when Ibanez came out with the TS-808 reissue, I think there were, they did change out a component or two that on the inside, and I'm not well versed in pedal board circuits or any of that, with the chips and the capacitors and values and all that stuff. That's I don't get into any of that stuff, but my understanding is that that pedal, for example, was not an identical clone to the original TS-808. And it's there's a couple of reasons why manufacturers do that. Number one, they want to make it a little bit different, just so they're not cranking out the same thing that they were cranking out 20 years ago or 30 years ago or whatever it was. It's in their best interest to come out with something a little bit different, at least. So it's still new, right? But also, if they when they do that, if they were to make it identical to the original, so that there is always the possibility of those people that bought them they happen to have one of the originals, that the values of those are going to tank if all of a sudden you can get a brand new one, that's the exact same thing for half of what what the vintage one sells for on the vintage market. So, most companies don't want to, big companies anyway, don't want to piss off their customers like that. But the opposite is also true. Even if they are identical, you could also, could very well be the originals are going to skyrocket in value. So, you don't know. Paul Ewing says, I do not like the HM2, but I had one mint in a box that I sold for big bucks recently. I'd like to have one just for collector value. That's really the only thing I would use it for. I mean, it's not a pedal I would pull off the shelf and use with any kind of regularity. But it'd be cool to have one just for for collector value nostalgia purposes. So. Park Henry says a lot is building good, unique pedals, but also building a good customer relationship is just as important. Absolutely, I agree. I've gotten to know quite a few pedal builders over the last couple of years. Park being one of them, and guys like Tony Peppers and Chris Jupiter, and what do you guys think of my demo of the Jupiter Effects pedal last week? The Fernweh delay. That thing was pretty wild. But I've got to know a lot of pedal builders over the last couple of years, and most of those guys all really seem to care what they care what their customers think about their products and them. There's a few of them out there that don't care what their customers think about them, and I'm not going to name any names here, but if you're active on social media, you can probably figure out who two or three of them are, and I don't know why it wouldn't bother any of those companies when there's a huge long thread in a group on Facebook of everybody talking trash about them. So. Savannah Guitars says, "Hey peeps, dropping in real quick using Kettner's Spirit of line of amps, as in like the Black Spirit and stuff. I've not played one yet, but I'm told they're pretty awesome. They're pricey for a solid state, but it's also 200 watts. Mikey Gabbard says, if you Google Watch Wrestling and Tyson Jones pay-per-view, you might find a free link to watch it, but you didn't hear. Okay. I didn't hear that from you, though. Okay, got it. Thunder Falcon asking Zim's Guitars if you got a link. I don't know if Zim's Guitars is still in here or not. Neil Davis, welcome to you, sir. Says, in your opinion, which is better, pedal-driven overdrive / distortion or amp-driven? Amp distortion over over pedal driven in most cases. I don't know, man. I mean, they're it's. I probably prefer amp distortion, at least in a live setting. But I also I love goofing around, not goofing around, but I love tweaking with pedals, and I mean they're not the same. Amp distortions always sound, they sound more natural. In my opinion, and there's some people that like that, but the advantage to distortions are, they're oftentimes a lot more customizable. So, is one better than the other? That I can't really say, because that answer is going to be different for everybody. I used nothing but pedal distortions for years, even when I was, my Blue Voodoo, which I love. I was using distortion pedals going into that a lot of the time. The last few times I gigged though, I was just using the gain on the amp, and it's another advantage to going with the amp distortion though is it does simplify things quite a bit on the, at least as far as what I have on the floor. So, if the day comes that we're able to get out and start playing gigs again, and I find myself in a band playing a gig, then I will probably just pick the right amp and go with the amp distortion route. Maybe have an overdrive pedal on the board, maybe. And then just probably put together a small or smallish board of modulation and time-based stuff and call it a day. Brandon Elton is here, says Boss pedals are seriously good pedals. I agree. Jack Attack is here. Hobo Roadie. I had a lot of people in and out of here today. Jack Attack says thoughts on GC Chapter 11. Well, that's the thing. It's Chapter 11. It's now Chapter 7. Chapter 11 is restructuring. Chapter 7 is liquidation. So there, if you read Guitar Center bankruptcy and that's all you paid attention to, I got some bad news. If you're happy about it, which really makes me sick, by the way. That you would want a company with that many employees to suddenly go under and all those people be out of work. Fellow musicians no less. Makes me sick when I see people saying that shit on Facebook and stuff. But anyway, if you read GC and bankruptcy and that's all you read, they're not going anywhere. It's just debt restructuring. If you want the history, and you can look this up. In 2008, Guitar Center were acquired by an investment firm called Bain Capital, who you might be familiar with, because prior to them acquiring Guitar Center, that was Mitt Romney was the CEO. But after Mitt Romney stepped down, was when they acquired Guitar Center. So Mitt Romney and Guitar Center have no, the two never cross paths. Anyway, but Bain Capital bought Guitar Center in 2008, and then they sold Guitar Center in 2014 to another investment firm called Eris Management. And when that happened, part of that deal involved Guitar Center absorbing a lot, like to the tune of like $1.3 billion of debt from Bain Capital. So, and it's that debt that they're restructuring. They were actually on pretty good pace to to make some progress on paying that stuff down, and it had been for the last couple of years, and then COVID hit, and GC had to close almost 300 stores, and like a lot of other people did, and that threw a monkey wrench on that whole program, which is where they are now. So, basically what happened was, they got saddled with this debt that they, literally they inherited. And, the question was raised by, one of the bean counters if we, can we get a better interest rate on this, on this debt, and it was determined that they could. So in order to do that, they got to file Chapter 11 to restructure it, and get out from underneath it and get a better deal with another bank. So that's what it's about. No stores are closing. There's not going to be any fire sales. There's not going to, nobody's going out of business. Nobody's going to be unemployed or any of that. It's none of that. It's none of that at all. It is just, debt, just restructuring of debt that, really that wasn't originally theirs. It was debt that they inherited from, from a former parent company. That's what that's about. Paul Ewing says the parts for a good buffer are cheap. I see zero reason for Boss to use a crap one. I don't think, like I said, I don't think Boss, the buffers and Boss pedals are, are bad at all. I've never had any issues with them. I've had, there's been some of them that, the tone of the pedal itself I didn't like, but that wasn't the fault of the buffer. Let's see. Mike St. Croix says opinions on the Boss BF2 flanger. That's like, that pedal's really kind of gone on to become one of the classic flanger pedals out there. The BF2 was, they made that pedal for a long time before they replaced it with the BF3, and now just recently replaced that with the BF5, which I really want to try. But I like the BF. I like all the Boss flangers. I like those quite a bit. That's one of those pedals that's been out there everywhere, and I've seen so many of them. But now that I think about it, I'm really surprised I don't own one myself. Let's see. Park Gingery says a buffer in the beginning and the end with true bypass in between is my preferred layout. Honestly, I never really paid too much attention to how I laid out a pedal board with, in relation to where the buffers are. I've never bought a pedal, because it was, because I had those buffer bypass or true bypass. Never, not once. I always try. I try to lay out a good mix of true bypass and buffered bypass, but. Hobo Rody says, I'm trying for a hell clean, but powerful enough to overdrive the neighborhood. Sounds to me like Twin Reverb Deluxe Reverb is the amp for you, dude. Jack Attack says, I use Electro-Harmonic Soul Food as a boost, but mildly. I've noticed a lot of people calling overdrive pedals boost lately, and and I'm assuming because they're using it, turning the gain all the way down and just using the level of the pedal itself, which I never really liked doing that. I always thought it thinned out the tone of the amp too much. I did do that on a pedal here, on a pedal demo here in the last week or so. Just because, just cause, I don't just trying to do something a little bit different with it, but yeah, I like using overdrives as overdrives. Let's see. John Gart II, thank you so much for hitting up the super chat, man. Says, hey, man, this is for your Les Paul fund. How close are you? Not very. Not very. I am, still. If I were, oh man, honestly, I haven't even looked to see what I could buy one for, recently. I'm assuming, and I don't want to I don't want to say the number because because I'm thinking in employee cost terms. What I can get one for is, as a employee of a retailer, but. If with that number in mind, I've probably still less than half, to be honest. So it's I'm closer now than I've been in a while. I will say that I am closer now than I've been in a while. But I also I know Christmas Christmas is going to knock a dent in that as well. So I don't know. We'll just have to see when. Maybe this one will be the one, and patience is not the problem. Patience is not the problem. Life has always been the problem. There's oftentimes just been a greater need somewhere along the lines. So, I don't know. I guess now that I think about it, there might be a couple of other ways I could go about financing it without getting myself into trouble. But I don't know. We'll. I'm closer now than I have been. So, but your donation there to the fund just put me that much closer. So, thank you very, very much. I do appreciate that. That is right where that money's going to go. William De Silva says we need GC. I agree. You know why? Because and I'm all for supporting local businesses and all that stuff is just as much as anybody else. But so many people seem to forget just how shady a lot of private, small mom and pop guitar shop owners were back in the 80s and 90s. And having Guitar Center around keeps those companies, keeps those places honest. So it keeps them honest, and and also it forces those companies to provide us with other services that GC doesn't. Just so they can remain competitive. Things like better. I know GC does lessons nowadays, but I don't think GC is ever going to tap into the private lesson market. With any kind of major. They're certainly not going to take that over anyway. So, they provide us with services like that. They provide us with, private, GC's doing repairs and stuff now too, and they have been for a while. But a lot of those places, the turnover is pretty high. My guy at my Guitar Center has been there for, God, Tony's probably been there close to 10 years now. And he's not going anywhere. But and he's also one of the best in the city anyway. But, a lot of those other stores, they have a fair amount of turnover, with their repair techs. And, the private mom and pop shops don't have that problem. So, Guitar Center keeps keeps the smaller companies honest. So, yes, we need GC. Now, whether you like them or not, they're also really, really convenient for, popping and grabbing a couple sets of strings and, on your way to a gig or something if you need it. And, like I said, in my case, when I was at the store, they were, I loved working there. They took very, very good care of me, and I am very, very grateful for my time there. Christopher Bass says, how come nobody just runs a DI into a powered PA speaker? That would be as clean as it gets. Perhaps get a low-pass filter. The reason why is because that is a really, really flat-sounding signal, and there's no character to it whatsoever. It's a great signal for... it's a great signal for modelers, which the modeling, the guitar modeling community have just recently, here in the last couple of years anyway, kind of discovered. Hence all the FRFR stuff that's hitting the market now. But, pardon me. But it's for itself, the clean, guitar amps frequency wise are actually the oddball of the lot when it comes to all different types of amplification out there. Between guitar amps and bass amps and PA speakers and drum amps and acoustic guitar amps and keyboard amps, all that stuff. All of those really are pretty much, they're just about all the same. They're all real flat. Like I said, guitar amps are actually the oddball because their frequency is so much higher, just because of the nature of the instrument itself. So, if it was like, so be it even a Fender, so certainly a Fender clean, but, be it a Fender clean or a Roland, like a, even a clean tone of a Roland JC120, it's not, and that's a little bit flatter than most other clean tones from an amp, but still, it's not PA speaker flat. Doc Amers Roxy says, "Yo, what time does this thing start? Miss anything good?" We've been going about an hour and a half now, so a little more than that. I got a little bit of a late start today, compared to my targeted 1 o'clock ish time. Heavy on the ish, but I got a little bit of a late start. But we've been at about an hour and a half or so now. And we've talked about X gear pedals. We've talked about reissues. We've talked about, boosts and overdrives. And we've talked about amp distortion. We've talked about Epiphone. We've talked about Guitar Center. We've talked about Mike Tyson. Talked about Thanksgiving. Talked about Christmas. We've, talked about all kinds of stuff. So, talked about Boss HM2. A lot of Boss pedal talk today. Christopher Bass says it starts when Robert feels like, since it's been everywhere from noon to 4. It's not necessarily when I feel like it. I do try to start at 1 o'clock every day, but my schedule's so erratic, and with so many things going on, it's just there's other things I have to prioritize besides my live stream shows or even my YouTube channel. Altogether, and maybe one day I'll be able to figure out how to maintain all that stuff a little bit better than I do. But Mikey Gabbard says, if it's cool, I'll post the Tyson link. Yeah, by all means. I don't have a problem. Matter of fact, I'd like to know it. Christopher Bass says Guitar Center just gets to pay pennies to all their vendors. That's not true at all. The Chapter 11 bankruptcy has absolutely nothing to do with any debt owed to any of their vendors. That is not the debt that is being restructured in the suit. That is has nothing to do with any invoices, past due or otherwise. So no, there is trust me, none of their vendors are going to not get paid. Hey, Guitar Max is here. What's up, dude? Says, I'm just pissed they killed the String Club. That was a pretty good. The String Club was actually a really good program, but it was a tough sell, man. Just because it was only $20 up front, and you got it got your $5 worth of strings every month for a year. And it would auto refill with $5 on. It was a gift card that would just auto refill on the same day every month. And matter of fact, I bought 2 of them, and I bought myself, after I left, I bought myself a lot of strings with that String Club card. But you're right, they ended up discontinuing it. But I think, like I said, the reason why is it just it was when I was there and I was selling them, it was a tough sell. I don't know why, because even if you laid it out and you did the math for people, and showed them the value, they just still wouldn't. It just didn't grab. It just didn't grab a lot of people. So that's awesome, man. I'm glad you're here. I'm actually excited to see you here on my live stream. One of my favorite channels on YouTube is Guitar Max. Great guy. Great guy. X Gear says Guitar Center's not going anywhere. The bank reps just relieved some debt they had. Exactly. So. Let me get caught up here. Everyone knows Synchrony holds. Christopher Bass says, I was just saying everyone here knows Synchrony holds the debt. This has nothing to do with Synchrony. Absolutely nothing to do with Synchrony. Christopher Bass says, Robert, did they make a pop filter for that microphone that fits on that mic? On this one, no, because the pop filter is built into it. I have it on active mode, and it's pretty close to me. And, just because if I move it away, even like right there, then you guys start complaining that you can't hear me. So, I got to put it on active mode and keep it fairly close. Thurston says, I just recently got a Proco Rat and found it glows in the dark. I suppose they do, the new ones anyway. I don't think the old ones did that, but the new ones certainly do. Doc Gamers Roxy says, I'm finding that I now have many minis, as in mini pedals. Like them fine, but is it worth it to stop/sell my mini pedals and buy just a few quote-unquote great pedals? There are lots of great pedals that are, in fact, miniature-sized, nano-sized, or whatever you want to call it. And the reality is the technology is just advanced enough that they're able to nowadays. Now they're able to take the same circuits in a lot of cases and put them in a much smaller package. And it's in the case of larger pedal boards, it frees up a lot of space. And in the case of people who don't use a lot of pedals, it's it's smaller gear to lug around, which that's been a trend going for the last 10 or 15 years. A lot of people are going smaller and lighter. Not everybody's lugging around 100-watt half stacks, to all their gigs everywhere like they used to. So, smaller is better for a lot of people these days. And, like even if I've got a TS, a TS Mini, the miniature Tube Screamer, which is the TS 808 version. And, I've never sat down and plugged it in, and A-B'd it with an actual, with a TS 808 or even a reissue. But, I've heard enough TS 808s in my day that, it sounds just like any of those, to my ear. Like I said, I've never tried them out side by side with each other, but they're awfully close, man. Awfully close. If there's any differences, you certainly can't tell when they're not side by side. So, no, I don't, just because it's small does not mean it's inferior by any means at all. I've got two pedal shelves right above me, and I think that's the only mini pedal that I have. The Phase 95. The Phase 95 is another good example. The Phase 90 was, Phase 90 and the Phase 45. All versions of those pedals were all, what you would call a standard MXR-sized stomp box for years, and then all of a sudden they came out with the Phase 95. And not only was, and that one's got four versions, of the. Of the MXR phase pedals in it, and it's a miniature-sized stomp box pedal. So, no, that's just a sign of technology advancing. Is all that is. I certainly wouldn't sell your miniature-sized pedals thinking that they're inferior at all. Paul Ewing says Christopher tells Christopher Bass if you had well over 150, you would start to sell some. I've got well over 150, and I'm not selling any of my pedals. I guess that's not. There's a couple of them that I've demoed for companies recently that are just things that I know I'm never going to use, and I've already moved those along. But maybe a couple of other stragglers here and there, but for the most part, I've got them all. Crossroads Crawford says, "Yeah, I wish you were still there." that must be my buddy Brian Crawford talking about my days at the store. Bought a lot of gear from me. Yeah, Dave Escobar is here. Says, "Hi, Robert. Got off work late, so hi and bye." Joyo and Hot Tone are discounted on Amazon still Black Friday. Cool. Pardon me. Paul Ewing says, "Always a great show because you know a lot of good stuff." I appreciate that. I don't know if I'm, any more knowledgeable than anybody else. I just, I think maybe I got a little bit different perspective than a lot of other people on YouTube, just because I worked on the other side of the counter for so many years, and still do today. But there's a lot of people out there with a lot of gear knowledge. Certainly a lot of people that know plenty of stuff that I don't. So. That was always the way that I tackled my job. When I did work at the store was, it's very, very possible that the guy standing across the counter knows more than I do, and I could probably learn from him or her, which was very, very often the case. And that's why I was able to make so many friends while I was doing that for a living. So. Crossroads Crawford says, "Hey, you think what's going on with Guitar Center? Am I correct to say that I wouldn't get jack for trade-ins?" Actually, no, not at all. They're 2020 has put a lot of strain on a lot of inventory. A lot of inventory problems. Which is unrelated to the bankruptcy stuff. It's just because there's inventory's been short. Manufacturers all had to shut down for an entire quarter this year, and and a lot of them are just now starting to get caught back up. So some of them still aren't caught back up. It's been a rough year. I think the MI industry as a whole has done well, but all things considered, but it's been a rough year. That said, I know that there are stores are certainly looking to build their used gear inventory right now because used gear is selling like crazy, depending on what you have. So, no, I don't. Bankruptcy. From a customer perspective, customers are not going to see any, anything regarding the bankruptcy stuff at all, other than what you've read in the news. At this point, and honestly, at this point, the whole thing's just about over and done with. So, it's not going to affect the way that the way that we do business with customers at all. It's just debt restructuring. That's all it is. Rondo Bondo says, "I like Guitar Max. Awesome show." I agree. Man. I think I think his channel is one of the best guitar channels out there. One of the best gear guitar channels out there. I got turned on to him about a year or so ago, I think, and watched quite a few of I don't know if you're still here or not, but if you are, Max, I've watched quite a few of your videos since then. So. Brandon Elton says, "What does mineral water that has trickled through mountains for centuries go out of date next year? Why does why does mineral water that's trickled through mountains for centuries go out of date next year?" That's good. That's a good one. That's a good one. I may steal that one. I may steal that one. Rondo Bondo says, "What years you work at GC?" I was at the store in Indianapolis from 2008 until 2014, so 6 years. Dave Escobar says, "You're still going, so I'm still hanging out." Yeah, I usually try to, usually these things usually go about 2 hours, and sometimes 2 hours and change. Right now we're about, right now the ticker here is telling me an hour 52 minutes, so I'm not gonna cut it off right at 2 hours, but especially now there's upwards of 50 people in here hanging out, so. And like I said, I enjoy this. I enjoy getting on here on Saturdays and hanging out with you guys. So this is, I really do have fun doing this. Dave Escobar says, "Robert and Max both bring to light some of the affordable gear out there, which is awesome." Max gets more credit for that than I do. A lot of the reason why I do, why I demo affordable gear is because, a lot of that stuff comes out of my own pocket. But in Max's case, and I don't know this, but I just assume because he is a much larger channel than mine. But I assume he's probably, he's got other companies that reach out to him, and he genuinely prefers to demo the affordable stuff. So Doc Amos says, "RGD knows the retail business and has a nice channel." Thank you, sir. And he also hit up the super chat. Thank you very much, sir. Said, "RGD, thoughts from Retail Man about GC wanting you to buy what's been abused on the wall, which is why we love them. To try anything." It's, honestly, it's a known problem that they're hampered by their own technology is the problem, because within their system there's no way to identify a specific piece, whether or not a specific piece of inventory is a floor model or out of box, or any of that stuff, at least as it relates to the inventory in the stores. The other thing that it does not do is, when you see something on the website and it says in stock, there is no way to indicate, unless you pick up the phone and call somebody, and have them look internally. There's no way for them to indicate, where it's in stock. Is it in stock at the warehouse, or is it in stock at a store? If it's in stock at a store, like if it's a Les Paul or something, is it in a box, or is it hanging on a wall? And there's no way for their system to identify that. And like I said, that is a known problem, and I know that they are in the middle of making some significant upgrades to their systems, but that is a huge investment, and it's one that they've been working on for quite some time and still haven't accomplished. Because if you've been into the stores, that they still use a archaic pre-DOS green screen system, literally from the 70s. And that's largely still the backbone of a lot of their their inventory and POS systems. And the reason why they've kept on using it is because, number one, there's never been anything on the market that has been able to replace everything that thing does. Because even though it's old and archaic, it does do quite a bit, but it won't do, in the internet, when it was designed, it was not, it was not designed for the internet age, because the internet wasn't even on, a glimmer in anybody's eye when that thing was designed. So I mean, that's really the biggest problem is, they're trying. There's not a good way in their systems to be able to identify, if it's in stock, where it's in stock, and what, if it's at a store, what kind of condition it might be in. So there is a really, really simple solution to that, though. Before you pull the trigger and take the chance, all you got to do is pick up the phone and call. If it's at, if it's a used piece, it'll tell you what store it's at and give you the phone number. Just call the store and talk to somebody on the phone, see what, and get them to get their eyes on it. And, a lot of times they'll even, take pictures and send them to you if you need them to. But, it is, that is a pretty glaring problem that they've struggled with for a while. Andrew Conkey, I was just getting ready to read your message, and then my thing jumped down. There it is. What do you think of Boss's JS8 for practicing? I think it's a cool concept. I've never really sat down and messed with them, but I always thought they were a pretty cool concept. I remember we sold them when I was at the store, but I admit I don't have a whole lot of experience with them. That's one of Boss's. That's one of their more under the radar products, but I think it's still being made. I think they still make it, but they didn't put a whole lot of they never put a whole lot of effort or resources into marketing that thing. So and I don't know why. I think that was, maybe just one of those things they just wanted to have out there for, it is kind of a little bit more of a niche market for something like that. So. Doc Ames Roxy says, has the Boss Mark II amps big live faded? Still loving mine when played. I'm assuming you're talking about the Katana Mark IIs, the Boss Katana Mark IIs, which are the current version. That I don't know. I know plenty of people who do use them live. One of those people is my friend Jim Woodard, the Practical Guitarist podcast. I think as a matter of fact, I think he and David Hill both use a Katana for live use. So the Katanas are great amps. They're not my thing. They're not. It's not a modeling amp, but it certainly leans in that direction. Which isn't really my thing. But there's certainly nothing wrong with them. I mean, they're great amps. A lot of people get tons of great sounds out of them. What they do better than all the other, than the Line 6s and the PV Vipers and that stuff, is they take pedals really, really well. Which Boss, being known as a pedal company, was pretty smart of them to design their amp that takes pedals well. Rico Rock 44 says, what are your thoughts on the Quilter 202 Overdrive versus the DV Mark 50 or DV Mark 250 GH? The DV Mark amps are, I think those are solid state, actually, the little miniature sized heads. So the DV Marks and really all the Quilter stuff, that's some of the best solid state stuff that's on the market. Quilters I've been especially impressed with. Those things, they sound, they're solid state, but if you were listening to them in a blind test, I don't think you'd ever know it. They sure sound like tubes. Awfully close anyway. Mikey Gabbard said Max is a hell of a player as well. Yes, he is. He's a very, very talented guitar player. JG Mopar's here. What's up, man? Hope you're doing well. Rondo Bondo says, I missed the quote of the day. It was, I'll go back up and read it because it was hilarious. Let's see if I can find it. Where'd it go? It was from Brendan Elton. He says, why does mineral water that has trickled through the mountains for centuries go out of date next year? That is funny. Hey, Paul Adamek says I hit 51. Really? I haven't been paying attention to, I've kind of popped it. We're at 50 right now. Wow. Huh. Holy shnikes. Thanks, everybody. This may be the biggest live stream yet, as far as viewership goes anyway. Now maybe that might be the first time that I've topped 50. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Hey, speaking of Jim Woodard, there he is. What's up, dude? He's here. Rondo Bondo. I don't you guys are talking amongst yourselves. Let's see. Doc Ames Roxy and a good free or inexpensive DAW out there for amateurs wanting to learn. Free, I don't think, you probably have to go with Reaper. Probably be the one to go with, because Reaper, Glenn Fricker has talked about this on his channel quite a bit. Reaper is a full-size pro-level DAW that you can literally download for free, and or you can use it for free for like a month, and then after a month you can continue to use it for free, but you got to get that thing that pops up asking you if you're willing to pay their $60 or whatever it is to make the flashy alert thing stop doing it. But Reaper was developed by a lot of I think it was developed by the people that developed Winamp, and when they sold Winamp, they made an absolute killing on it, and that's how they were able to finance producing Reaper. But Reaper is a full size DAW that's used by pro level studios all over the world, among others. But a lot of people really really like Reaper. It looks like Windows 95. It's not the prettiest looking thing in the world, but it's absolutely fully functional, and it's actually a little bit smaller and doesn't eat up as much CPU usage as some of the others. That said, so for free, that's probably the way to go. Inexpensive, you can get a smaller version of honestly, I would probably be gunning for a smaller version like Studio One. Like Studio One 5, which I think is on sale for. I think Guitar Center has it on sale right now for like I don't know what it is, like $129 or something like that. For Studio One Artist, which is not the full version, but it's the smaller version. Which if you're just recording a couple of tracks here and there on your own at home, is all you'll ever need. So, and Studio One is advantageous because it's easy to learn, relatively. So, pardon me. Jim Woodard says, friends don't let friends buy the Spark. Speaking of which, someone want to buy one with the bag included, original box, 2-year warranty, extra year, because I had to wait so long. So Jim's selling his Spark 40. Oh man, that I mean, Positive Grid did not, they did not market that thing. Well, they marketed it just fine, but I think they overpromised and underdelivered when it came to, taking money for pre-orders and actual delivery time. So. Doc Gamers Roxy says, I bought Holy Schnikes better than Jordans. Well, Jordans are well, I guess they're better than Schnikes, but uh, is that? Forgive me, I'm checking an alert on my phone because eh. That work? Sure did. Somebody named, I don't know, Richard Correa. I don't know if that's somebody here in the chat or not, but because it's not a name that I recognize, but somebody made a donation to the PayPal fund, which is greatly appreciated. And you can find that link there in the description, and should you choose to do so. Because that eliminate that. People sometimes do that because they prefer to eliminate the YouTube middleman. Regardless, thank you. If you are in here right now, hanging out in the chat, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate that. Let's see. Jim Woodard says, for the person who asked, I know several people who have a Katana 1 and 2, and we all love using them live. I recommend getting the 6-button switch as well. Extra money, but worth it. Agreed. Man, Christopher Bass is angry today. Sniper Guy 234 says, do you think putting UK vintage 30s and a Marshall 1960 cab would sound as good as the Mesa Boogie oversized? Well, I mean, they already have that cab. It's known as it's the Marshall 1960 A, V, or BV, depending on if you're talking slant or straight. And I believe those are the speakers in that cab are actually. I think they're British. I think they're British vintage 30s. I don't think they're imports. But the thing that makes the Mesa Boogie oversized, the recto cabs, the thing that makes those things sound as good as they do is one thing anyway, is the fact that they're oversized. They're bigger, they're taller, they're wider, and they're a little bit deeper, and it's it's moving a lot more air, and it gives it a lot more thump, for lack of a better description. So the vintage 30s are absolutely the right speaker for that cab. That's why Mesa uses them. Though they, the ones that Mesa uses actually are they're a special Mesa, they're a special vintage 30s designed specifically for Mesa 30s. So those speakers are voiced a little bit differently than your traditional vintage 30s. Just a little bit. They've been tweaked for Mesa. But if you're wanting to load vintage 30s into a Marshall cab, trying to get closer to a Mesa sound, I would do that on the Marshall TV cab, which is their oversized 412. I think that's going to get you closer. Joe Black G says, "Yeah, Reaper rules." See, people love Reaper. Jim Woodard says, made a video on the Practical Guitarist podcast site. And it comes down to this: good desktop practice amp, and that's where it ends. Can't use it for shit else. Cool Guitar Gear says, here's a riddle. Why is there nearly 50 on this podcast? Technically, it's a live stream, but yeah, yet there's only 34 thumbs up. Yeah, what gives? Only 34 thumbs up. I'd add one, but it won't let me. It won't let me click the like button on my own video stuff, on my own videos on my own channel. Let's see. Dave Escobar is looking at maybe a change of flavor, looking at a Vox AC30, maybe the 112 version. I love the AC30, man. That is like, I love the clean sound out of an AC30. I mean, it's just one of those things that's real tough to beat. And you can crank them up and get some drive out of them, but I've wanted an AC30 or even an AC15, for home use for a long time, just so that I had access to that particular tone. But I've never gotten around to buying one. I did go down to a guitar show a couple years ago, hoping I might be able to make a trade on one, but there was only like one in the building, and he wanted too much for it. So he wanted more than the guitar on my back was worth. So at least more than he was willing to give me for it. Captain Taco 2018 says LTD ESP1000 or ESP E2 Eclipse. Is the ESP Eclipse really worth $1,000 more in your opinion? Yes, absolutely. EC1000 is a good guitar, nothing wrong with it. But if you've never played the two of them side by side, the LTDs are literally like a half, maybe even 3/4 of an inch thinner, in the body thickness. Than the actual ESPs. ESPs are a lot closer to thickness of an actual of a Les Paul, whereas the EC1000s, like I said, they're significantly thinner. So you're giving up. They have less material. They don't and that just doesn't resonate the same. The LTDs don't resonate the same way that an ESP that the ESPs do. So yeah, if you're willing to spend the extra money, get the ESP. $2,000 for that guitar really is not bad at all. Plus it's also made in Japan, and that factory in Japan, those guys are they make high quality instruments. Yeah, definitely go ESP if you're willing to spend the money. But like I said, $2,000 for that guitar is not bad at all. Especially when you consider that the guitar that it's modeled after is probably another $1,000 on top of that. Doc Amos Roxy says gonna get the Toman 212 cab. Anyone have experience this cab? I haven't played one yet, but I know a lot of people that love that thing. Those Toman Vintage 30 cabs are supposed to be kick ass. So especially what are they, $250 or something stupid? If you just need a 212, a solid 212 cab with vintage 30s in it, I don't know why you'd buy anything else, to be honest. Rondo Bondo says, hey, Robert, did you ever check out the Firefly ES335? No, I didn't, and number one, those Firefly guitars are, those things, those things sell out fast. You got to be, like monitoring Amazon, like wildfire. Like that's all you would have time to do is monitor Amazon for those things to pop up, because they go that quick. So, there's another website out there. I think you can buy them from direct. But they're, Guitar Max, told everybody about that website on his channel, and so now that one's under, is under watch as well. So it's they're hard to track down is part of the problem. The other part of the problem is sorry, I got distracted here because okay. Oh, my app crashed. Somebody else just sent me another PayPal donation, and I wanted to look up and see who it was. Ah, JG Mopar. Thank you, sir. Thank you very, very much. Again, man, you guys are being too kind today. Says, here's a little extra cash for gear snacks for the dog. Hope you and the family had a great Thanksgiving. We did. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Nobody left hungry. That's for sure. So, but seriously, thank you very much for the PayPal donation. I greatly appreciate it. Okay, back to Fireflies. The Firefly ES335 is I'm really not a semi hollow body guy. Just not. They tend to get a little loose, and they're really made for more mellower type of stuff than what I do. So even though I don't play with as much gain as I once did, I don't just automatically crank the gain knob to 10 like I did when I was younger. That's why they're just not my thing. But they do have I think they've got a Les Paul model as well, and those are even harder to get a hold of. So I don't know. I'd really like to demo one of the Firefly guitars on my channel here at some point, but getting a hold of one is next to impossible. So, hey, Paul Baker's here. What's up, dude? Hope you're doing well. You called me a couple of times last week, and I missed you both times, and I called back and left a message once, but Rondo Bondo. Robert, can you put up a link on Reaper so I can check it out? Yeah, I guess so. Let me find it. You can usually find it pretty easily just by Googling Reaper DAW. There it is. Yep, Reaper.fm. That'll get you there. So that is, I just put a link to it in the chat if you want to go check it out. JG Mopar says, I'm still running my old Sonar Cakewalk, never switched to BandLab. I'm so used to Cakewalk I can't switch. The only one that seemed close was Studio One. I think Gibson finally, I think they sold Cakewalk, with their big liquidation thing that they had to go through a year or two ago. And and I think part of that deal, they sold, they were selling off a lot of the brands that they bought out and weren't doing anything with, and Cakewalk was one of them. So they sold Cakewalk, and I think somebody else bought it and has brought it back. I haven't checked it out yet, but that is my understanding. So, hey, Sean Carney hit the thumbs up. He's listening in here while he's cleaning out the garage. Rico Rock 44 says he's Richard, so he was the kind gentleman that donated to the PayPal fund here earlier. Thank you, sir. I didn't know who that was. Captain Taco 2018 says, I just ordered it right when you said it was worth it. Appreciate the input, Purple Sparkle. I'm assuming that was the ESP. If you did, good for you, man. Yep. I think you'll be glad that you spent the extra money, dude. I really do. I really do. There's nothing wrong with the EC1000s. They're great guitars, but I think I think you're going to be glad that if you're able to, I think you'll be glad you spent the money on the ESP version. Doc Gamers Roxy says, should a compressor be used with a Blues Junior kind of farty without some kind of pedal? You need personal preference, and honestly, a lot of that also depends on the kind of music that you're playing into it. Somebody like me being a hard rock metal guy primarily, man, I'd never use compressors, never, because using that much gain, my signal's already pretty compressed as it is. So I mean, adding more compression to it, it just tends to make it, really, muddy or fizzy or, one or the other, and it just I don't like compression when I use it. So, but if you're playing blues and country and jazz and those kinds of stuff, particularly blues and country, country players, those guys really, really, they really like compressors, and they're very, very useful to those types of players. So. JG Mopar says, I like to bypass the middleman so you get to keep it all. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. PayPal does take a cut as well, but it's significantly less than what YouTube takes. YouTube takes a chunk. So, but at the same time, if they didn't have this platform up, nobody would be getting anything. So, Jim Woodard says, "How do you like the Angry Charlie? Are you going to do a video on it?" I'm assuming you're talking about the Angry Driver. I mentioned earlier, and I think this is before Jim got in here with us, but I've got a Boss Angry Driver sitting there that I am going to do a video on it. I just haven't gotten to it yet because the reason why I haven't done it yet is because there's been other pedals that other companies actually did send me, and I try to prioritize those over things that I paid for with my own money. But the reason why Jim's asking me about that is because I actually bought this pedal from him. So we came to what we felt was a mutually beneficial agreement on price on that guitar, and on that pedal, and he sent it to me right away, and I now have it. So as far as what I think of it, I actually haven't even had a chance to plug it in yet. I do plan to get to that this week though. So yeah, yeah, I'm gonna try to get to that this week. If not this week, then definitely next. But I am excited to play it because that's it. It may be next week now that I think about it, because that's a pedal I want to do a pretty in-depth video on. That I want to do a full length track recorded with it, everything, instead of just a short 30-second 1 minute riff and a solo kind of thing. Christopher Bass says, I still want to know how Alex Lifeson was getting such gain out of amps that didn't have high gain in his 335. Well, the truth is Alex Lifeson's never really used a ton of gain. He's, the earlier days, he was pretty much all Marshalls, and then eventually switched over to Hughes and Kettner, and those Hughes and Kettner amps, by the way, are monstrous. Those things got a ton of gain on them. The tri-amps that he uses. And he, of course, has used all kinds of other stuff in the studio, but there for a long time he was pretty much all Marshalls, which was more about volume and technique than it was gain control. Hadley Scott McIntyre says, hey, y'all, do you think a turkey cost less after Thanksgiving? I don't know. I don't know. I don't, when I actually worked in the grocery business for a long time when I was younger, and I never noticed that being a thing. But the grocery store that I worked in also was it was a grocery store in a pretty upscale, very upscale neighborhood, as a matter of fact. So, those people didn't care what it cost. They very, very seldom complained about price on anything. They just, if it was something they wanted, they just bought it. Robert Bryant says, just returned my Firefly 335 copy to Amazon. Had a bad rattle and couldn't find it. Drove me crazy. You're the second one that the second one of my viewers that has said that about those. I know I know a lot of people that bought those Firefly guitars and really, really like them. And I've had a couple of other people that have bought them and just, said they were just, stuff like you just described, right out of the box, and were not pleased at all. So. JD Mopar says BandLab bought Sonar. Okay, so now it's BandLab Cakewalk. At one time, BandLab offered it for free. Not sure now. Yeah, that I don't know. So BandLab, who owned Cakewalk? Didn't BandLab own Cakewalk before Gibson bought them? So BandLab bought them back. Am I understanding that right? Charles75N says Robert Bryant was most likely the retaining wire on the bridge. It's the first thing most Firefly users replace. Other than that, it's a great guitar. Okay. Interesting. So there is a rattle on those things, but it's minor and can be fixed and pretty common apparently. Yeah, at least I don't know. I've never been able to get my hands on one. So I don't know. I don't know. Other than what people have told me, that's all I know about those guitars. Christopher Bass says, anyone have any suggestions for a good PA speaker? I have an unpowered mixer, so I don't need features. You just need, a good old fashioned powered PA speaker. If you're, if you want to play guitar into it, if you're using it for a guitar amp, Headrush FR stuff is, they're designed for modelers. Well, they say they're designed for modelers. At the end of the day, it's a PA speaker. It's literally the exact same thing as the Alto TS. The Headrush 12 FR 12 is literally the exact same thing as an Alto TS3 TS312. I think is the model number. The 12 Alto 12-inch powered speaker. That's all. Literally the exact same thing. If you flip them over, look at the backside of them, all the controls and everything are identical. The only difference, and I mean the only difference, is the logo. So, but that said, if you're just using it for for a guitar amp, for a flat sounding clean guitar amp with a DI or something, or a preamp going straight into it, that's a good one. If you're going to spend the money, QSCs are tough to beat. Yeah, I don't know. There's PA speaker technology has come a long way here in the last 10 years. Powered speakers are sounding much, much better than they used to. The EVs, the EV, was it the Z? The ZLP, I think is the series names, which are their inexpensive ones. Those will get the job done. And the ELs, which are the series up, all the EV speakers sound excellent. They've got a higher SPL than all the other PA speakers out there. So. I Am Hot Frog says, what are some pedals that have truly surprised you, either good or bad? Oh, boy. Bad would have to be the Game Changer Audio plasma drive. I was expecting an overdrive pedal that an overdrive pedal that sounded unlike any other overdrive I'd ever heard, and what I got instead was a glorified big muff with a plasma thing on front of it that uh, um, that I don't know if it affected the sound or not, if it wasn't just there for show. But that was, I remember being really, really disappointed about that because and the other thing is, and I think later they changed it and owned up to it. But Game Changer Audio was, they were advertising it and marketing that thing as an overdrive, and so I was pretty pissed when and I didn't buy it. I borrowed the one that I demoed. I borrowed from Park Kingery, so it wasn't my money, but and he likes fuzz pedals better than I do. But I was pretty disappointed to find out it was a fuzz, not an overdrive. And like I said, it was a glorified big muff or fuzz face or something like that. Is what it was. That was probably the biggest disappointment I can think of. Biggest good surprise. And I'm thinking, oh boy, man, there's been a lot of them. There's been a lot of pedals that I've been pleasantly surprised with. The DoD Gunslinger distortion was one of them. I was surprised that thing was as heavy as that thing gets as heavy as it does. Let's see, the Boss OD 200, all the 200 series Boss pedals. I ended up enjoying a lot more than I thought I would. Same with the Digitech hardwire pedals, and actually probably the one that surprised me the most was the Electro-Harmonix Flatiron Fuzz. That was probably the biggest eye opener, and that's the one that helped open up my mind to to rat pedals, which I previously had absolutely hated. So but that one opened up the possibilities to the rat pedal kingdom for me, and now I own 3 rat pedals on top of that. So that was probably the biggest surprise. Thurston says this past August I decided to try the Seymour Duncan Dirty Deeds distortion. Found it to be pretty good. I've heard a lot of people like that one. I like Seymour Duncan pedals. I think most of them are pretty good. There was that dual distortion thing of theirs that I demoed, a year and a half or so ago that I liked it, but that's few people commented on it and said that they had already heard it and they didn't like it. Why they're watching a video of a pedal they already knew they already thought they didn't like, I don't know, but let's see. You're talking amongst yourselves. That's right. JG Mopar says, yeah, I guess now it's Cakewalk by BandLab. Used to be Sonar. That's right. Forgot it used to be owned by Sonar. And yeah, BandLab still offers it for free. So cool. There you go. Joe Black G says, hi, Robert. What do you think about the old Yamaha G100, G112 amps? Is it true they sound like Fender twin reverbs? I don't think they sound like Fender twin reverbs at all, actually. I think that was more Yamaha's answer to the Roland, the Roland Jazz Chorus amps. More than that. I think they sound a lot more like those than at least the ones that I've heard sound a lot more like Roland JC120s than they did anything Fender. They're a little bit, pardon me, a little bit darker sounding than a lot darker sounding, actually, I thought, than a Fender Clean. So that said, a lot of people like those amps. Those Yamaha G Series solid state amps. So those things are still, if you can find them, they're still pretty popular by a lot of with a lot of people. Captain Taco 2018 says, "What's your take on Line 6 Helix? I live in an apartment and don't have room for amps and cabs. I was thinking of getting a Line 6 HX Stomp." If I were, I'm not a processor guy at all, and especially like in living situation I'm in now, I'm never going to get one. They're just, I've never gotten along with them. I find them to be a huge pain in the ass to program, and and any time that I have used a processor in the past, the sound that I thought, that I dialed in my own personal practice space that I thought was really, really good, never translated to a band situation, practice or live or otherwise, and I spent too much time tweaking and dicking with knobs, and so processors they're just not for me. That said, I'm not unaware that that's also just due to the fact that I just, I've never wanted to, I've never been good at figuring out the learning curve with processors either. So I mean, that's on me more than it is any of the gear, the processors that I've used. So with that said, the Line 6 Helix, it's the best technology that, among the best technology that there's ever been in a processor, certainly in any Line 6 product, and there's a lot of people who get some really, really good sounds out of them. If I were in a living situation like yours, I would very, very seriously consider going that route just for space. One, for space saving reasons, and two, for especially if you're going to run it direct into an interface or in a computer or something, and just use your studio monitors for speakers or something like that. The Helix stuff, the Line 6 Helix stuff they're all, the entire line are great products. They really are. I have nothing negative to say about them for people that like processors. If you're like me and you're just not a processor guy, don't buy one. But, but if you are open to all the knobs and the buttons and the tweaking and the, and the levels and the signal routing, especially on the bigger units. There's, like I said, Helix is, all the Helix stuff is, a great line of products. And what do we got here? X-Gear. Oh, man. Also contributing to the super chat. Thank you very much, sir. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Says, "Hey, Robert, I'm going to go now. Thanks again for the shout out. Rock on, bro." So everybody, please do me a favor and go check out X-Gear's YouTube channel and their Facebook page and stuff, and make sure and check out their Amazon store on Monday, Cyber Monday. So approximately 48 hours from now. So there's going to be some good stuff on sale in there. He said earlier in the chat, if you were not here when we were talking about that stuff, I've demoed a couple of their pedals, by the way. I've demoed their metal distortion and their high gain overdrive, and they're both stellar, excellent products. They're not another, I don't like to use this word, but they're not another cheap, import pedal company that's making clones of everything for $50 or less. They're not that at all. They're high quality built stuff. So go check out their stuff later on. Certainly go check out their Amazon store on Monday, because I'm now curious to see what deals that they're going to be offering people for Cyber Monday. And I may even break my own rule and buy some of their pedals, buy one or two here before the year's out. Hadley Scott McIntyre says, "What about Pulse speakers? Anybody?" I'm not familiar. Is that a brand? I don't know. I'm not familiar with them. Those I do not know anything about. Hadley Scott McIntyre, it's either India or China, but they make a great guitar speaker, not too expensive. Like I said, I'm not familiar with them, but I'm going to assume that they're probably along the lines of like warehouse guitar speakers, which are also, I think the warehouse guitar speakers are also made in China, and they're great speakers. I've got a pair of the Veteran 30s, which is their vintage 30 clone, in my Seismic Audio oversized 212. And they're great. And those things are, what do those things cost? $100 or less a piece. I almost like them better than actual Celestion vintage 30s anyway. They're that's actually probably a pretty cheap way to build your own vintage 30 cabinet, is to get a pair of warehouse guitar speakers, Veteran 30s, and get on Amazon and buy an empty oversized Seismic Audio 212 cabinet for $130 or something like that. Load those speakers in, you got yourself a killer vintage 30 cab. I really like my 212 a lot. I didn't think I was ever going to like a 212 as much as I like that one, but I do. JG Mopar says, anyone have any experience with Wolf guitars? I don't know if Max is still here in the chat, but if he is, he's the authority on Wolf guitars. A few other viewers have mentioned in the past that they have them and they really, really like them. So that's another one of those guitar brands I have yet to be able to get my hands on. I did reach out to them and ask them if they'd be interested in having me demo any of their stuff, and they were not interested at the time. So if I want to demo one on my channel, I'm gonna have to buy it. And I've already said multiple times here over the course of the last, we're going on 3 hours here. Over the course of the last several hours, that I'm not buying any more gear this year. And we got another PayPal donation. I can only see the beginning who was. I think it was Brendan Elton, I believe. Yep, sure was. Brendan Elton. Thank you very much, sir, Brendan Elton, for the PayPal contribution. You sent with that one, friends and family, too. Very, very kind of you. Thank you. Dawn R is here. Hello, Miss Donnie. How are you? She said Zoom MS50G is as good as a floor processor, but pedal sized and gets some monster tones out of it. You're the second one in this here live stream that's mentioned that thing. Somebody mentioned it earlier, a couple hours ago, I think. You give Dawn credit, man. That girl knows her gear, man. She knows her guitar gear. JG Mopar says, I got to go to an open house at Line 6 a few years back. Very impressive. The engineers are awesome. The wall of amps is incredible. The amps they use to model their pedals. I can only imagine what that wall of amps looks like. That would actually, I never thought about that, but that would be a really, really cool factory tour to go on, be the Line 6 factory. They've come, I'll tell you what, them getting bought out by Yamaha was the best thing that ever happened to them. The quality of their products skyrocketed when they when they were suddenly under Yamaha ownership. They were same engineers, but now they got Yamaha's now they got Yamaha's R&R budget to back them up, which is like I said, that right there I think has made all the difference in the world. Mitchell Tilly says, I was pawn shopping and ended up buying a Line 6 Amplify 75. I think I got a good price, even though it ended up dropping $200 so far. I like the tone, but haven't downloaded the software yet. That was an interesting amp because I actually, did myself get some good sounds out of that thing. The problem that I had with that one was, it was whole thing was driven by a cell phone app, or an iPad app, whatever, you may be wanting to use. And I was, as those things came out when I was still at the store, so I would demo that thing for customers using the app on my iPhone. And it did have some good sounds, but the whole, a guitar amp being driven by an iPhone app was a little unorthodox. So, but I think the world might be a little bit more ready for something like that now than we were 10 years ago. I said I wasn't. Dave Escobar said I said I wasn't going to buy any more gear until I saw a Hammer USA Special P90s for $300. Yeah, I'd probably had to break my own rule for something like that too. Well, I guess you know what I already did. Pardon me. I already did break my. I did the exact same thing when I bought my Blue Voodoo a month or so ago. I'm not buying any more gear. I said then I'm not buying any more gear, and then all of a sudden this, Blue Voodoo pops up in front of me for $230 or something like that, and I was like, ugh, oh God. So if I don't buy it, if I don't buy it now, I'm not going to get it at all, and I don't know when another one's going to pop up. So I nabbed it. Yeah, especially USA Hammer for $300. Wow. Either somebody didn't know what they had, or that's insane. That was it an old one, like one from the '80s, like the ones that Mick Mars used to play back then. If you found one of those for $300, that's a steal. I'd grab that one too, because that's another one of those deals you're never gonna see again. Brendan Elton says, "Keep up the good work. It's an honor to contribute to the channel and your good work. It was worth making you laugh. Thank you very much. I appreciate that." Sometimes I get beat up from trolls and non-subscribers and stuff all the time, and so, here lately especially, because after somebody shared my Fuzz Factory video in the Pedal Boards of Doom group on Facebook, and and I spent the better part of a week taking a beating from all the Fuzz Factory fanboys based on that video, and I gotta admit, it kind of had me wondering if I shouldn't just give this whole YouTube thing up altogether and do something else with my time. Sometimes that stuff does get to me. So it's nice to hear something like that from people who do enjoy my content. So again, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Don R says, "I know some stuff, I guess." He says, "I've got pedalitis. I already have 53 pedals and one Guyatone flip metal monster coming in next week." Okay, if I'm reading, you already have 53 pedals, but you got a Guyatone coming in on top of that. Not you'd have 53 pedals plus that coming in next week. So yeah, I didn't have any pedals show up this week. I mean, last week on the other hand, I had the TL Pedals Honker Overdrive, the Honker Overdrive, the Hagerman amps Distort, TC Electronic Cinders, and a Bogner pedal all showed up all within a week of each other, and to the point my wife was looking at me going, dude. So. Dave Escobar says, "Pawn Shop must have thought it was an import, small USA on the headstock, no special or model number." 1983. Yep, sounds like they thought they bought an import. I don't have any pawn shops around me, man, so I never get pawn shop finds. I mean, I gotta go way down into Indianapolis, to get to where that stuff is, and they're all in real bad neighborhoods. Thurston says, "Cool. I was interested in the cinders. I've always sort of been interested in it. I found a cheap one, and what I just discovered recently, that's their Blues Driver overdrive. I didn't know what overdrive it was modeled after. I knew it wasn't the Tube Screamer because that's their El Macumbo. The El Macumbo is the Tube Screamer out of that line. So I didn't know what the cinders was modeled after, but I found out recently that that's their Blues Driver. So, God knows I love Blues Drivers, so I had to have it." Rondo Bondo says, "I have an HVT amp, 15 watt, that's awesome and runs on a phone app." I'm not familiar with that brand. HVT. Oh, VHT. You must be talking about. It must be a typo for VHT. Jim Woodard says, "The only problem I've found with the cinders is that the switches are not made well." Yeah, I think that's the case with with all the switches along that entire line. They're all those switches are the momentary style switches, not the clicky style, if you will. But that it's a budget line of pedals, so that's one of the corners that I'm assuming anyway they had to cut. I own most of the pedals out of that line, to be honest with you, and I've never had a problem with any of the switches. I will say that what is the compressor, the force field, is the compressor out of that line. I did have to exchange that one because the first one that I got right out of the box, and I discovered that somebody else had opened it before me, but the switch was bad in that one right out of the box, so I did have to change that one out. But other than that, I haven't had any issues with with any of as far as functionality goes. But they're Behringer circle, the Behringer circuits, upgraded Behringer circuits. The housings are solid though, so yeah, I don't know. Paul L. Ewing says, "I'm a pedal reviewer. I have reviewed 1,480 pedals." Wow. That's a shitload of pedal reviews. Your pedal is a Nux high gain distortion based off of Wampler Pinnacle. I don't know what pedal it is that I must have. I'm trying to keep up with you guys here in the chat, so I'm not reading everything as carefully as I used to because I don't want what happened a couple weeks ago, a month or so ago, to happen again, where you guys are asking me questions I wasn't getting to them for 30 or 40 minutes. So, Doc Amos Roxy says, "Who hates RGD?" Plenty of people. Plenty of people. If plenty of people that love the Fuzz Factory hate RGD. Same with the Metal Muff. Plenty of people that love the Metal Muff hate RGD. JG Mopar says, "If you have haters or trolls, you are successful. You can always tell when someone made oh shit, I lost it. You can always tell when someone makes a difference by the negative comments. Jealous people. Keep up the great work, Robert. We appreciate what you do." Thank you very much. Doc Amos Roxy says, "RGD, now two folks saying check out $25 twin note, whatever that. The fuzz versus actually distortion. You're just biased." Well, you really want me to demo that thing, don't you? I'll give it some thought. I'll tell you what, I will give it some thought. I'm not going to try to get one from the company. I'm just going to buy it myself. However, I'm not going to do it until next year. So I'll tell you what. I'll give it some thought. If I do, I will make that one of the first things that I demo here in 2021. How about that? Dave Escobar says, I love Blues Driver too. I might get the Wazacraft when the price is right. I'd love to have the Wazacraft Blues Driver. I really would. As much as I like the original, and I love the original. I'm told that the Blues Driver and the Angry Driver is better than the actual BD2. So, I'm going to have a couple of different. I know I've done this a lot lately, but I'm, just because sometimes I'm gonna, sometimes I like to do videos for my own enjoyment, and I could very well end up doing another Blues Driver style overdrive shootout. Last time I called it the Blues Breaker shootout, and I got lambasted for that too because they're not actually Blues Breaker circuits. But regardless, I'm thinking I might do a Blues Driver overdrive shootout. With the BD2 and the Angry Driver, the Cinders, the Digitech Screaming Blues. That one's kick ass. So, but I don't have the Wazacraft yet. Let's see. JG Mopar says, I bought an MIJ Boss HM2 for $40 in my local pawn shop in great condition. I would never pay the eBay or Reverb price for that nasty sounding pedal. Oh, boy. If I ran across an HM2 for $40, I'd grab it too. The last time I was looking at them, they seemed to be selling, a realistic price on those that they were selling for was around $80. Which I guess isn't bad. I haven't checked lately, though. I'm hoping that prices haven't already started to go up now that they announced that they're doing a reissue of it. Crossroads Crawfords says, your opinion on dark glass pedals. My opinion on dark glass pedals is I wish like hell they would make guitar pedals, because those just about anything that says dark glass on it is very, very much kick ass. But they're, that's what they are. They're a bass pedal company. That's what they make is bass pedals. But I really do wish they made guitar pedals, because their bass pedals are absolutely awesome. The B7K, I think it is. I know a lot of people that, that bought that pedal and they've never needed to buy anything else after that. So. Dave Escobar says HM2 actually sounds much better than the OD3 in front boosting it. Interesting. I'll try that. I have an OD3, right? Yeah, I do. Don R says pawn shops are good, but many know the value of guitars. I was lucky and got a US Masters HSS guitar for $125, but it really needs a cleanup. I've seen that a lot. I think that pawn shop finds always seem to be at the pawn shops that that mostly deal in in buying and reselling, like tools and lawn care equipment, stuff like that. And there seems to be there doesn't really seem to be anything around here anyway. Pawn shops that all the pawn shop stuff that the guitars I've ever seen hanging up in pawn shops in my city are usually a bunch of entry Squires and $150 Epiphones, stuff like that. Nothing I would have any interest in. Doc Amos Roxy says, are the TC switches silent? Why is that bad? Well, it's not so much the, they're. I don't think they're, they're noisy. I've never run into an issue with noise at all. And while we're talking about that line of pedals, I will say that the Prophet, the digital delay out of that line is, that's a great digital delay pedal. I've used that one a lot. That's probably the pedal out of that series that I have used more than any other by far. So I mean, they certainly sound really, really good. The housings, like I said, are really, really solid. Um, pardon me. The switches are, I have heard about the switches going out on people. Um, and I think I've never opened one up, but I think they're actually mounted directly onto the board as well. So if the switch goes, you know, so is the rest of the pedal. There's really no way to repair it. Is my understanding anyway. I don't, I've never cracked open a pedal with the intention of ever repairing or modifying or anything like that. But that's my understanding. Is how they work. Are they, but are they bad? It's not a matter of are they noisy or not. It's, I think it has to do with stability, and, so many clicks before, the click actually breaks. Crossroads Crawford. Yep, I know who you are. I see your picture. I see your thumbnail there. It says, that's my old buddy Brian Crawford is who that is. It says, still miss you, Guitar Center to this day. Yeah, and I miss, it's one thing I do miss about being at the store is getting to see people like you and, so many others on a regular basis, interacting in person. I don't get to do that anymore in my current, my current line of work, but alrighty, this thing, I'm gonna get going here, fellas. We're going on. This is over 3 hours, and usually I don't go this long. Usually I try to cut it off around 2 or a little after that, but I don't know. Honestly, I was having so much fun hanging out with you guys today. So, just hanging out, and having fun, and catching up. So. Yeah, for those of you that contribute to the super chat and and the PayPal donations and all that stuff. Seriously, thank you all so very, very much. I greatly appreciate it. For those of you that that were just in here hanging out and talking gear and stuff, I appreciate you all being here this week as well. This was a good live stream. So, new video going up tomorrow morning as always, and yeah. Have a great, happy Saturday. I'm going to play Spider-Man and veg out on the couch. And enjoy the rest of your weekend. See you later. Bye.